Hi, my name is Naylor, and this is how to promote your music with video on the internet, a shoestring approach. This is episode 3, how to stream your programs live on the internet. This is part 1 of episode 3, basics of live streaming. Part 2 and part 3 will look at Ustream and YouTube, where you can stream for free. We'll also take a look at a concert window and stage it. By the end of this entire episode, you will have the basic knowledge of how to stream and start streaming right away. You know, I think streaming is probably the most fun of all video production. It kind of takes me back to growing up in the 50s and early 60s when a lot of the programs were broadcast live, mistakes and all.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Thank you. I want to thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me into your living room, because every Tuesday night for the past 7 seasons, there's been no greater pleasure for me than to come in your living room. And once again, it's a great pleasure for me to be in your living room every Tuesday night.
Not in our living room.
What's he so mad about? Well, let's get the show off on the right foot. Pearl. No, Mickey, I do my shows in this theater. You see, some actors do their shows on film, but not me. You see, I'm live.
Want to bet?
I was... What are the odds? I mean, I do my show because I like to get close to my audience, and I like to hear my audience laugh.
I like to live dangerously, huh?
What do you mean?
You know, there's a new thing out in Hollywood now, though, Milt, if I may suggest it to you.
Yeah.
In fact, we do all these shows on film.
On film.
And then we put in what we call a laugh track on the side. Call them canned laughs.
Canned laughs?
Canned laughs, that's right here. I brought along a can right here.
Oh, yeah?
I was going to be on your show. I thought maybe you'd use them.
You
right.
buy these by the can, eh? Well,
That's right.
how does it work?
Well, you see, if you want a little laugh,
Is it a good thing?
it's a wonderful thing. If you want a little laugh,
Yeah.
you open it just a little ways, you see? Now watch. Now if you want.
Hey, this is a boon. This is a boon to writers.
Boon to writers,
Get
it's the
rid of-
biggest thing to comics since writers.
Yeah, what
That's
happened?
right.
You want a bigger laugh?
Bigger laugh, you open a little wider.
Beautiful.
Like that, no? Now if you want what they call a yuccabini,
A big scream.
real kind of a screamer,
Yeah.
you go...
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's all. But you see, Mickey, I do a show. I like to do a show. I don't like to put it on film. I do a show with a studio audience, and I like to get close to my audience all the time. You see what I mean?
Why?
Oh, call it madness. But that's what I.
Just like Uncle Milty, live streaming allows the viewer to be more involved with you and your program than if the program were recorded. For you, the broadcaster, you know you're talking to the viewer then and there. You know, although I have no statistics, I kind of feel that people were more likely to watch your program to the end than if it was recorded. Of course, that's assuming your production is pleasing to watch. At the same time, your program can be recorded while it's streaming on Ustream or YouTube and be available to people who were unable to watch it live. In this video, I'm going to run through some of the basic concepts. Now, you might want to take notes, but you can also get a free transcript of this tutorial. More on that later. From a basic technical standpoint, live streaming works like this. Just like recording a program, you have a camera and a microphone. For shoestring production, we're talking about a webcam for the camera. And as I talked about in the tutorial on audio, you need to have an external microphone. You cannot use the computer's mic because I'll show up at your door and bop you in the head. Now, you need to use a streaming service, and I strongly recommend using Ustream or YouTube. We'll talk about these services in parts 2 and 3. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, we will also talk about concert window and stage it. Now, in simple terms, when your program leaves your computer, it is automatically encoded. Now, don't worry about what that means, because it happens, as I said, automatically. When it gets to the streaming service, their software does what it needs to do, so your program can be seen by those who are watching. It's that simple. Well, maybe not that simple. Now, you'll need to have a few other things to make it work. First is a good internet connection. If you have a major internet provider such as Comcast, RCN, or Verizon, you're pretty much set. Now, I don't know if anyone uses dial-up or DSL anymore. Now, you can forget dial-up. That definitely will not work. DSL, I'm not sure. But again, if you have some of the other ones, you're in good shape. You know, there's also satellite internet, and I'm not that familiar with that, so I cannot say whether it will work or not. My guess is it probably will. And the bottom line is, without a good internet connection, live streaming will not work. Now, you'll want to check your upload speed, and you can check it at speedtest.net. The upload speed needs to depend upon the quality of the stream that you want. Now, a low quality stream can be done with as little as 600 to 800 kilobytes per second. For a medium quality stream, a minimum of 1.5 millibytes per second is needed for the upload. And if you use a higher quality streams, you'll want 4 megabytes per second or greater upload speed. With Ustream, you have the option of changing the quality to fit your upload speed. In YouTube live streaming, you also can select the quality of the stream. So basically, if the level you choose does not work, or if you're disconnected from the live streaming service, lower the quality and try something else. Try the next level down and see if that works. If you have one of the major service providers, you should be able to stream at a medium or high level service. Your ability to stream may be affected by the internet usage in your area, but not usually. Also, don't watch your show at home when you're streaming it live. It can mess with your broadband. Now, a brief mention on webcams. Webcams come in high definition or standard definition. I had mentioned in an earlier tutorial that high definition is a misnomer. It is really higher definition than something else. For example, high definition webcams have a higher resolution than standard definition webcams. Better cameras that cost more, just regular type cameras, have higher resolutions than that. You know, even TV sets now have ultra high definition, and in a year or so you can be sure that there'll be something like super ultra TVs, so on and so on. Now, I highly recommend Logitech high definition webcams. I use the Logitech C920, which is currently $75 on Amazon. Logitech has recently come out with Logitech C930E for $119. All of these webcams are good, and most of the reviews that you'll read on the internet do recommend Logitech webcams. Now, I want to show you a video that I made with Patty Shea, a friend and a wonderful songwriter. She had written the song All These Angels for the 10th anniversary of 9/11. This was recorded with a Logitech standard resolution webcam, but it still came out fairly well. I edited this on the fly in real time, and I used a Ustream software to be able to do what I did. Then I'll show you a clip of a previous show I did called Artists You Should Know About. This was streamed live with Logitech C920 webcam.
Rising up from the smoking ash were the souls that God called home. Then he sent them back again make a little jelly roll. You said you love me, you told my daddy too. If you don't love me, I say we're through. You don't miss your water till the well runs dry. You won't miss my kissing now, honey, till I say goodbye. I know you're a viper, honey, that's alright by me. Just stay away from drinking and I'll give you my back door key. And if you hear me talking in my sleep, baby, don't you cry. My. Just wake me up gently and I'll give you a buggy ride.
And here are some other things to remember. Try not to have other equipment plugged into your computer's USB ports unless you really need them, such as external hard drives. And the reason for all this is computers use the USB ports for several items, and it can affect your webcam working correctly. If there's too much on one USB port, something's got to give. The amount of CPU usage is important. If your computer surpasses the 70% CPU mark, you could start experiencing problems with the live streaming. This is another reason to minimize the amount of stuff your computer has to deal with. For example, again, if you have an external hard drive connected to the computer, which is your backup drive, and the computer starts an automatic backup, that's taking computer resources. Also, if you have other applications open, your CPU goes up. You can check your CPU in your system. You can also get cheap applications that will show you what the CPU usage is at any time. Let me talk about some audio issues with streaming. First, did I mention the use of an external mic and not the computer mic? I think I did. Another important thing, have your computer preferences set to the right mic source. The default is probably your computer mic, and you want to change it to your external mic. As I mentioned in the tutorial on audio, Mac audio preferences can be found in System Preferences under Sound. For Windows, go to the Control panel. And make sure that your audio volume is adequate, but on the other hand, make sure your audio does not clip, as talked about in the audio tutorial. Also, avoid feedback. It's easy to do. Just mute your speakers. You can also put an audio jack into your computer mic input. That will mute the speakers too. And you should always do a test broadcast. In both Ustream and YouTube, you can set up a private test so nobody else can see it while you're doing that. Another issue with audio is buzz in the audio. Now, it could be due to a grounding issue, and one way to deal with that is to use an XLR mic cable. It's better than a 1/4-inch cable. Now, unless you use an audio interface, you're still going to need an adapter from the XLR directly into the computer, and I talked about that in the audio tutorial. The mic cable itself could be damaged, causing problems, so make sure you have at least one extra microphone cable. Also, cables that lay across each other can cause audio problems. Make sure this doesn't happen. I've had this issue. Sometimes plugged-in lights or overhead fluorescent lights can cause buzzes. If something can go wrong, it probably will at some time. But there's always a solution. The internet and YouTube are great at finding the answers to common problems that you may run into. I've given you a lot of information, but in the end, streaming live is fairly easy as compared to recording your program, which is a lot more involved. And also, I think live streaming is pretty cool. Part 2 of Episode 3 will introduce live streaming through Ustream. Ustream is probably the best service for streaming live. They have been doing it for some time and have developed a lot of features and software to work with. But you don't even need their software to stream. Like anything, there are pros and cons, but Ustream I think is pretty cool. If you would like a free written transcript of this tutorial, all you have to do is email me at raysings@gmail.com and I'll send it right out to you. And one more thing, please subscribe to my channel to receive updates on upcoming videos. See you in a couple weeks.